Greetings, my wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world, my fellow Biafrans. You are welcome back again to QUEENCAPON Media, the one and only YouTube channel where they give you a trending and latest updates. So, my wonderful people, a lot is going on. No be small thing, no, my people. I go allow una make una listen to this particular update where I don't carry come today.
Everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Okay, so someone asked me a very, very important question that I wanted to answer publicly. He said to me, Joe, why don't you support one Nigeria? And I asked him, what is one Nigeria? And he said, one Nigeria is uniting everyone under one umbrella, one name, Nigeria, so that we can become one and love one another, so that all the divisions will disappear. Bottom line, unity. That's what he said. So I told him clearly that one Nigeria is not about unity. It's not about uniting Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba or any other tribe. No, it's not. One Nigeria is all about oppressing, suppressing, and keeping the Igbo people permanently caged, permanently incapacitated, permanently emasculated economically and otherwise. Put them in chains. Do not give them any breathing space, because if you do, they will overrun everyone, overrun the entire place, and outpace the colonial forces who are behind the curtains, engineering all of these that you see. The whole idea of one Nigeria, let me say it again, is to keep the Igbos permanently incapacitated and enslaved. That is the truth, only the truth, and nothing but the truth. If you wanted to unite Nigeria, you don't have to make noise about it. The indices of unity are there. There are so many things that Nigeria could have done if they wanted to be united, if that's what we are pursuing in Nigeria, if that was the agenda. I'll give you a few examples so you don't think I am just speaking sentimentally or I'm just being a typical Igbo man, playing the victim's card like you people always say. Explain to me why people in Yoruba land, children at school, are not being taught Yoruba language, Igbo language, and Hausa language at school. Explain to me why kids in Igbo land are not being taught all these three major languages, and kids in the north are not being taught all these three major languages, so that whenever they go to any part of the country that they don't originally come from, they can easily communicate with their fellow Nigerians. If an Igbo child gets off from Igbo land and gets into Yoruba land, if a Yoruba child gets up from Lagos or anywhere in Yoruba land and gets to the north, they will never have a single language barrier. They will speak to whoever is there and they will understand. If this was implemented when I was in primary school, even secondary school, By now, our own children will be the next generation that is carrying on them this mandate of unity, a very critical aspect of that unity that you say they are looking for, which is not what they're looking for. If unity was the agenda, why is it that the military was structured in such a way that there is a massive lacuna between the military in Nigeria and the people of Nigeria, the civilians? The military functions in a way that when the people see the military coming, they see an enemy. When the military sees the people coming, they see a potential enemy. There is no connection, no love affair, nothing whatsoever, because they were structured to protect the interest of the colonials at the center, where these things are dictated from. The military's job is to answer to the federal government. Go to other countries in the world. You will see the relationship. Have you seen where the military is punishing a civilian in Nigeria? You can just tell that there is no relationship whatsoever. It was by design. If a military man is in trouble somewhere today, Nigerian people, for the most part, a greater percentage will allow that military to perish if they won't even make it easier for him to perish. Because there is an enmity that is created between the two. It was by design, because they are meant to protect the forced unity. So that if anybody wakes up and says, I am tired of this fake unity, I want to have my own freedom, the military will step in. If anybody challenges anything that has to do with the fake union, the military will step in. Rather than saying, no, the people have the right to say they don't want. We are the military. We will stand with the people. No, but the military will stand with the federal, which represents the colonial interest. And so, one Nigeria was meant to be protected by the military. And that's almost like their sole responsibility, that anybody who shall dare to come against this whole idea of one Nigeria, which is actually not about one Nigeria, that the military shall come to find out what your problem really is. As you have seen in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and any other person who had tried, boom, they are the first. They don't send the police. The military will come for you. Because one Nigeria is not about uniting the independent nations that existed in Igbo land, in the north, in the west, before Lugard forcefully amalgamated in 1914. One Nigeria is about keeping this rare breed of people in eastern Nigeria in shackles, because the moment you leave them, they will just take over everywhere. They have found out what is in the Igbo man. They have written about it in their colonial books and writings, and everybody knows that's what it is. That's why an Igbo man is not allowed to become the president of Nigeria. An Igbo man cannot have seaport in his region. Any seaport that is even in close proximity to the Igbos must be destroyed. That's why we had to dismember the geopolitics of the Igbo man, so that we can make it look like they are isolated and that they are landlocked. It's all about, if you want to be hated by the colonials, get close to the Igbos. If you want to be loved, you better punish the Igbo man. That's why everybody has mouth to talk to the Igbo man in Nigeria. It's all about the Igbos. 20 pounds given to them after the war where they lost close to 6 million, and yet today, by several years ago, they said about 55% of the money in circulation in Nigeria is in the hands of the Igbo man, and they are still rising and taking over. It's about the Igbo man, not about real unity. The earlier we understood this, the better for all of us. But we are here to stay, and we will be free one way or another. Bless you. Masking the legacy of bigotry. And in this part 2, I am going to speak directly to the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But before I do that, as a true African child who has been taught from infancy that we must respect our elders, but never withhold the truth from them, I want to give all due respect to our president. I want to even dobale fui the way they bow to great in your tribe, the Yoruba tribe. I want to thank you for all the good that you have done, despite a bunch of bad that is being bandied all over the place in the media, despite a lot of accusations, complaints that people have against you. I personally don't believe there's anybody in this world who is 100% all bad and no good. No. People have bad sides to them and they have good sides to them. And even within the last 2 years that you have been the president of Nigeria, people are complaining a lot of things are going bad and wrong in Nigeria, but there are some good that you have done. And I want to applaud you for those. And I want to thank you for the initiative that you have introduced that are people friendly. Even if they are very few in number, it doesn't matter. Whatever good you have done, I want to appreciate you for them and thank you for those. All right? I respect you, Mr. President, as a person. I don't have any problems with you personally. I just have a lot of problems with some of the things that you have identified with in the past, in the present. And that's why I am making this video. It's a passionate plea. It's a hot cry. It's been sitting with me for so long, and I felt like there's no way I can continue to live with this. I call this part of my video Unmasking the Legacy of Bigotry, Mr. President, because as far as I am concerned, just trying to tell you the truth, you come across as the most divisive political leader that I have come to know in Nigeria within the period that I have been alive. And I'm going to tell you why. I am not going to speak sentimentally. I'm not going to speak out of bias. And I believe by the grace of God that I am about the most qualified person to make this kind of video because I am probably the most detribalized Igbo man that is still alive today. I don't care about anybody's tribes. That's why my staff in the office, the most trusted of them, are Yorubas. That's why I was this close to even marrying a Yoruba. I don't care about your tribe. All I care is your personality, your performance, who you are, where you are headed. That's who I am. And that's why I feel like I am qualified, even overqualified, to make a video like this, because nobody's ever going to get up and say, hey, he's so biased, he's an ethnic bigot, he's this, he's that. No, you will never say that about me, even from my posts on social media. So rest assured that I am going to speak the truth, only the truth and nothing but the truth, and that it is going to come from the very bottom of my heart. Mr. President, in 1993, I finished secondary school, high school in the eastern part of Nigeria, and I showed up in Lagos because my parents promised me that once you're done with high school, you will go to Lagos. Lagos is like our New York. Every child's dream is to go to Lagos if you are living in the eastern part of Nigeria or even any part. We all love and still do love Lagos. And so, in keeping with their promises, they helped me to get to Lagos. And I came to Lagos to live with my cousins. And as soon as I showed up in Lagos, Lagos lived up to all the noise and all the expectations we had about Lagos. It lived up to it. Even beyond, I was very excited, very happy. It turned out that in Lagos, I could connect with people from different backgrounds. All the tribes in Nigeria were in Lagos. I could only connect with maybe one or two while I was in Enugu. But in Lagos, every single tribe that is located in Nigeria, all the 500 tribes we have in Nigeria, you would see the people in Lagos, Nigeria. That was so beautiful to me. I enjoyed every bit of it. I was meeting people, socializing. It was fun. We were so blinded to tribal consciousness. Nobody was ever treating anybody based on their tribes. I said I would speak the truth. So I'm going to ask people who lived in Lagos within this period to please bear me witness if I am lying. There was no such thing. If you're dealing with somebody who's Yoruba, you didn't even care if they were Yoruba or not. You didn't even remember their tribes. You just dealt with them as your fellow countrymen, as your fellow human beings. This was the life I saw in Lagos. And then came the time when military leadership in Lagos was about to phase out. We had Buba Marwa, who, of course, had this Keke Marwa thing named after him because he introduced it right about the time he was about to leave power. So we had Buba Marwa leaving power. And when Buba Marwa left in 1999, Mr. President, you were the one who became the governor of Lagos State. Now, immediately after you became the governor of Lagos State, many people were not very happy. A lot of people wanted something else, but it was you that people got. And I didn't quite understand why a lot of people wanted someone else but you until much later. Mr. President, it was after you became the governor of Lagos State, and God is going to bear me witness, that I began to see elements of tribal consciousness in Lagos. That I began to see cracks emerge between the Yorubas and the Igbos, which has, of course, today ballooned out of proportion. Everybody can see it already, even on social media. But I'm talking about the origins. This was when I saw it happen. The Yorubas became conscious of themselves being Yoruba. Igbos were now made to understand you are Igbo. We now began to hear things like you are in my land, you are in my land or not in my land. All those things we couldn't hear before you became governor, Mr. President. And they started showing up. Well, in 2000, I traveled out of the country. I was already working in Lagos in 1996 as a sales representative. And my work revolved around Okare and Balogun market, which is why I said there was no such thing as tribal consciousness or identity consciousness. I could navigate Okare Balogun market with my eyes closed. I knew the terrain like the back of my hand. We mingled. So many Igbo spoke even Yoruba more than they spoke Igbo. It was such a beautiful time to be alive. So when you came, Mr. President, everything changed. So like I was saying, I traveled in 2000, came back in 2022. By then, before I traveled, I was already a film actor because I joined the movie industry in 1996. I featured in my first movie in 1997, then traveled out of the country in 2000, came back 2002, and then rejoined the industry and continued making movies, featuring in movies. Those days, our movies were known almost everywhere because even though Nigeria has been having a lot of theater and movie production activities going on, we were not really known. We were not any force to be reckoned with. Most of our homes, we saw people watching Indian movies, watching American movies. We had the Jimmy, 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 acha, 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 all those things. And then Rambo. And then, everything we consumed as far as media and entertainment was concerned was from somewhere else. Because we had not found our footing in the entertainment industry. It was these Igbo men, traders, who actually staked their money, hard-earned money, and put it into this industry and made it what it became. And all of a sudden, Nollywood became a force to be reckoned with. It started with Living in Bondage, an Igbo language movie that was made way back. And then other movies followed, and then many of them became English language movies. And we went around the whole place. As at the year 2000, I had only been an actor for just 3 years, but I traveled to the city of Monrovia in Liberia, and even immigration officers were begging to carry my bag. They had a show for me at Rivoli Cinema in Liberia, in Monrovia, Liberia, and people were tearing cartons to just get my autograph. They didn't even show my movie, just that I showed up. People paid to come to cinema just to look at me. That's how popular we were then. And I was one of the smallest, the least popular, as a matter of fact, because Nollywood had gone haywire, gone global. So when I got back, it was so easy for me to get back into the industry. I was very happy. And I did quite a number of movies. We were filming in Lagos, we were filming in Enugu, we were filming in different parts of the East, some were filming in Jos, different places all over the place. I started my career in Lagos State. I used to live at number 5 Omonobi Street, off of Milani Street, Ijesha. That's where I used to live. That's where we all started. It was Surulere. I don't know any veteran actor today who started from Lagos who wouldn't mention Surulere to you. Surulere was our home. Everything began there. Ecoas Hotel, Winnie's Hotel. And we were bonded. One. We didn't know tribe. We were one. We were one. When I say one, I mean one as in one family. Nobody cared where you came from, who you were, or anything. Now, one day, after making a bunch of movies in Enugu, I came to Lagos. I was going to, I'm going to describe the place. There's this town. If you want to go to Ogun State through Oba, there's a town there at the border between Lagos and Ogun State. I was there to see a friend of mine whose wife was a banker, and they wanted me to buy shares, and I went to see her. I was there. And then we started going around. He was telling me about businesses he wanted to do. Video Club was the in thing. My goodness. Everybody was into Video Club. People were making a killing from video clubs. And this guy also wanted to have a video club. And so after going around his entire place, I went and started interviewing the video club guy, because usually in Lagos, you would see posters of all our movies. They will show up at Iweka Road. You will hear from Alaba, £1 Road, Aba, those commercials they used to do. They were all over the place. And you come to Lagos, you will see it in all the video clubs. That was the norm. There was no video club that didn't have posters of new videos, new movies that were released. But this period I went around, and I did not see a lot of our new releases. In fact, the posters were missing from all the video clubs. I was so curious, I had to call one of the guys. I said, what is happening? You people don't have recent movies. And that's how I am. And the guy smiled and looked at me. He said, boss, they tell us, make we know they carry again. No, that's in pidgin. They've told us to stop carrying all these movies. I had to sit down on his bench to ask why. Who told you? What are you saying? He now told me clearly, Mr. President, Everything I'm going to report in this video are things I heard directly, not what somebody came and said. The guy told me that there was, whether you call it a communique or a decision made, that Yoruba video club owners were now banned from carrying any movie that was not a Yoruba movie. I asked why. They said that these movies, even though they speak English, that they are marketing and promoting Igbo culture, and that is going to stain the Yoruba culture in their people, that they should stop carrying them. This guy told me to my face that they should stop carrying them. And at that time, Yoruba movies were not too many out there. They were just very few. Most of what people were watching were those movies that they call English movies, which many people now call Igbo movies. They refer to it as Igbo movies because most of the themes in those movies are Igbo themed. They talk about Igbo stories. You have people talking about, things, stories that happen, in Igbo land or something like that.